The night in New Delhi felt heavier than usual, as if the air itself was warning Arjun Mehra that the peace he longed for would not survive till dawn. The moment he stepped into his dimly lit apartment, still smelling of stale coffee and interrogation rooms, his phone vibrated sharply. He didn't check the screen. He didn't need to. The silence on the other end was too familiar, too intimate, too haunting. Only her breathing, soft, trembling, reached him. Zara. The name he had buried, mourned, and tried to forget. The woman whose absence had left a wound even time refused to stitch. Arjun, she whispered, voice shaking like glass. They followed me again. Every muscle in his body froze. Zara had vanished months ago, leaving behind only a blood-stained dupatta at the crime scene and her wristwatch buried in dust. The department sealed the case. The world moved on. But Arjun's heart, stubborn and foolish, never accepted her death. And now she was breathing on the line, fragile and terrified, sounding like someone who had crawled out of her own grave. "Where are you?" he asked, already reaching for his jacket and service weapon. "At Lal Chowk. Near the old spice warehouse," she said. The words came out uneven, like she was glancing over her shoulder with every breath. Arjun didn't waste another second. The streets blurred past as he drove, headlights cutting through the smog. His mind replayed everything: Zara laughing under monsoon rain, Zara leaning against him on rooftop nights, Zara promising she'd never disappear. Those memories had kept him awake on too many nights. He never imagined they would lead him back to her like this, a ghost calling for help. The warehouse loomed ahead, abandoned and broken, its rusted metal structure groaning in the wind. Arjun moved cautiously, his gun held low but ready. The stink of old spices mixed with something metallic, something that made his CID instincts flare. He scanned the shadows, listening for a breath, a step, anything. Then he saw her. Zara stood still between collapsing wooden crates, her face half hidden in the flickering light. Her hair was tangled, her clothes torn, and her wrists marked with bruises. But it was her eyes that struck him first, not fear alone, but guilt, deep and dark. He approached slowly, not wanting to scare her, not wanting to believe the worst. "Zara," he breathed. She stepped back. Not from fear of him, but fear of what she carried. That's when he noticed the blood on her hands, dried, dark, and far too much to belong to a mere wound. "What happened to you?" Arjun asked, voice tightening. "Don't come close," she said, shaking her head. "If they see you with me, they'll kill you too." "Who's after you?" he pressed. Before she could respond, a loud metallic crash echoed behind them. Arjun turned instantly, gun raised. Zara grabbed his arm with sudden desperation. "You don't understand," she whispered. "They aren't just after me, they're after us. Because of what I did. Because I couldn't let him die alone." Arjun felt ice crawl up his spine. Her words were wrong. Broken. Terrifying. And in that moment he realized something awful: Zara wasn't only running from danger. She might be running from her own crime. The safe house was colder than Arjun remembered, a forgotten room the department used only when danger was too close to home. A single tube light flickered above, buzzing like an insect trapped in its own dying glow. Zara sat on the worn-out sofa, knees pulled to her chest, her fingers stained with blood that no amount of scrubbing seemed to remove. Arjun watched her silently from across the room, torn between relief, anger, and a fear he couldn't show. For years, he had interrogated hardened criminals, broken gangsters, liars, killers, yet nothing unsettled him like the woman sitting in front of him now. The woman he once imagined building a life with. The woman who had vanished into the shadows with no explanation, and returned with blood on her hands. "Zara," he said finally, crouching in front of her. "Tell me what happened." "All of it." She didn't look up. Her voice came out hollow, scraped raw. "You won't believe me." "I've waited months to hear your voice again," Arjun said softly. "I'll believe anything you tell me." That was the moment her fragile composure cracked. Tears spilled, but silently, as if she had cried so much already that sound no longer followed emotion. Her shoulders shook once before she forced the confession out. "I killed him." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Arjun felt the room tilt. His training told him to stay calm, ask questions, secure evidence. But his heart felt like someone had pressed a knife against it. "You killed who?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Raghav," she whispered. "The man who abducted me." Arjun closed his eyes. The name was a wound still fresh. Raghav Verma wasn't just any criminal, he was a predator with political protection, a man who had slipped through the CID's grasp too many times. When Zara disappeared, Raghav had been the primary suspect, but the lack of evidence made the case crumble. Now the truth was spilling out of her like poisoned water. "I didn't plan it," Zara said, her voice trembling. "I just wanted to escape. But he kept talking about you. How he would break you. How he would make me watch while he tore your life apart. And something snapped inside me." She looked up then, and Arjun wished she hadn't. Her eyes were haunted, not by guilt alone but by something darker. Something she carried alone for too long. "I stabbed him," she continued. "Once. Twice. I don't remember how many times. I only remember his eyes when he fell. He didn't believe I could do it." Arjun's breath caught, torn between horror and the twisted relief that the man who hunted them was finally gone. "But that's not the worst part," Zara whispered. "His brother knows." A chill crawled up Arjun's spine. "Raghav's brother?" he asked, voice low. "He saw me leave," she said, shaking. "He followed me that night. And now, he wants revenge. Not just on me. On you. On anyone who ever protected me." Arjun felt something inside him harden. Fear turned into resolve. Love into a burning sense of duty. "No one will touch you," he said, cupping her face gently. "Not while I'm breathing." But even as he said it, he knew the truth Zara refused to say aloud. The ruins of Tughlakabad fort stood like the skeleton of an ancient beast, its stone ribs jutting out from the earth as the cold wind howled through empty corridors. Arjun moved carefully, every sense alert, every shadow treated like an enemy. Zara walked beside him, limping slightly, her breath sharp and uneven. She had insisted they come here, claiming it was the only place where Raghav's brother wouldn't find them quickly. But Arjun knew something in her tone wasn't fear, it was finality. Like she brought him here for the end, not the escape. The moonlight cast strange patterns over the broken archways. Arjun kept looking at her profile as they walked, noticing the way she avoided his eyes. Something was wrong. The truth she confessed earlier, the killing, the escape, felt incomplete, like she had cut out the core of the story. And now the silence between them pressed heavier than the night. Finally, he stopped. "Zara. What aren't you telling me?" She froze. Her shoulders tightened. The wind tangled her hair as she slowly turned toward him, her eyes glistening with the weight of a secret too heavy for one person to carry. "Arjun," she began, voice soft but shaking. Before Raghav took me, I wasn't innocent. I wasn't who you thought I was. A bitter cold crept into Arjun's chest. What do you mean? She looked away, staring at the ruins as if they could shield her from his judgment. I worked with him. Before you and I ever met. The words hit Arjun like a blow. He felt his grip tighten around the gun at his side, not because he wanted to use it, but because he needed something to hold on to as the truth tore through him. You worked with him, he repeated, almost unable to say the words. With Raghav? Yes, she whispered. I was part of his world. Not by choice at first, but eventually I stayed. Until I met you. Arjun felt every memory they shared twist painfully inside him, every smile, every touch, every promise. So all that time, you were lying to me? No, she said quickly, stepping closer. I left that life for you. I tried to. But Raghav wouldn't let me go. He threatened you. He told me he'd ruin you, destroy your career, your life. I didn't know how to protect both of you at once. I tried to keep the two worlds separate, but they kept crashing into each other. Arjun's mind raced. It made sense now, the fear in her eyes before she disappeared, the silence, the blood. She had been trapped between love and loyalty, between two men who wanted her for completely different reasons. Before he could speak, a gunshot echoed through the ruins. The bullet struck the wall near them, sending dust into the air. Raghav's brother stepped out from behind a broken pillar, his eyes wild with vengeance, his gun pointed directly at Arjun. You took my brother, he snarled. Now I take you. Arjun aimed his weapon, ready to fire. But Zara moved first. No, she screamed, stepping in front of Arjun just as the next shot rang out. The sound was deafening. Zara's body jerked violently as the bullet tore into her. She fell against Arjun, her fingers clutching his shirt, her warm blood spreading across his hands. Arjun dropped his gun, catching her as she sank to her knees. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes flickering like the dying light of the tube in the safe house. I'm sorry, she whispered. I couldn't choose back then, but I choose now. I choose you. Her hand slipped from his grasp. The ruins fell silent. And Arjun, CID officer, man of law, man of discipline, let out a broken sound that didn't belong to a detective but to a lover losing the only person he ever truly fought for. The terrifying love story ended where all forbidden love ends, in blood, betrayal, and a truth revealed too late.